Hey everybody, I'm glad you're here. I hope you're having a good, just maybe, the end of your long weekend. Some people have the day off. People that work in, school teachers, banks, stuff like that. A lot of them have this Easter Monday off. So hopefully you had a good long weekend wherever you are. And we're going to get into your questions in just a moment. I just want to let you know that there's a lot of stuff coming up this week on the channel. There's the BMW X3 with the Mercedes-Benz GLC comparison. That drops tomorrow. That's right in the middle of the day. That drops. And then the next day on Wednesday, we have the new Mitsubishi Outlander. And all I can say about the new Outlander is it's a game changer. This is going to be a major turning point. This vehicle for Mitsubishi, often seen as sort of a value brand, cheap and cheerful. This new Outlander, when you see the video on Wednesday, I think you're going to be very impressed with it. Then on Saturday, should make that Friday, one of the Survivor series that I do every Friday. This one you're going to want to watch. It is a 1989 Porsche 911. Now, I know I do it a lot of 911s on the Survivor series, but this one is really cool. It's a 1989 Porsche 911, one owner. The guy who ordered this car ordered it a year before it came into the country. It was one of the very first 911s of that model, called the 964, to arrive at the dealership here in Vancouver. He has all of the documentation for it, and he owned it up until last year, and then he passed away. And the family decided to sell the car. The car has only 55,000 kilometers on it over 32 years. That works out to 34,000 miles. That's just over 1,000 miles a year this car is driven. And it's absolutely pristine. So it's a black on black Carrera 4 1989. The chassis number is a 964, one of the very first in the country. So that one you're going to watch on Friday, hopefully. And then the very next day we have the Audi Q5, okay? So lots coming up on the channel. We have only one picture, and I know why we only have one picture this week, because like an idiot, I forgot to give everybody my email. But this is a great picture. This is from Kanar, who is in Iraq. And that is just beautiful scenery, great looking road. Right by, looks like a lake, and so he said it's in the Kurdistan part of Iraq, and that is his Genesis G70 twin turbo. So that's a very nice car. It looks like a beautiful part of that country. So if you want to get a picture to me, send it to Zach, Z-A-C-K, at motormouth.ca, or Z-A-C-K if you're American. Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca. Excuse me, I cough. I cough because I have reflux, not because I have COVID. Oh my God. These COVID numbers are taking off with all these new variants. I thought we were getting out of this. I thought we were turning the corner. I thought we had vaccines popping up and people getting inoculated, and now it seems that the virus is moving faster than all of that. So anyway, oh, come on in. Who is this? It's one of the elves with beer. Have a seat, Jack. Where you been the last 2 weeks? March Madness.
Yeah. Hopefully Gonzaga can get it done for me.
That's your team. Jack picked Gonzaga from day one, didn't you?
Well, I've liked them since like 2014 when we went to Palm Springs, and because I like their name.
Just because it's a fun name?
Yeah. And then I later found out that they're actually a local team.
Are they the closest team to Vancouver?
No, because you have like the ones in Seattle.
That's University of Washington.
And Washington State, but they're like the third closest, yeah.
So Gonzaga is in Spokane.
Yeah.
Are they going to win tonight?
I mean, I hope so.
Are the Canucks going to come back at all the end of this season?
I'd say like 3 weeks. I'd say 3 weeks and they'll be back. That's a long time, though.
That's a long time.
And then they're going to suck because they'll be rusty.
They will be rusty.
Yeah,
it could happen to other teams, too. Well, thank you for the beer, sir.
Well, no problem. Oh, it's in the shot. There you go.
There goes Jack. Here's your sports update. Good work, buddy. Yeah, so if you haven't heard, if you don't follow hockey, the Vancouver Canucks, where we live here in Vancouver, the pro hockey team, 20 players and coaches are sidelined because of COVID. And it's this new variant, the Brazilian variant. and apparently when it hits you hard. So that's the scary thing. That's what's exploding here in British Columbia. All right, let's get to the questions. If anybody has a super chat, I'm not opposed to that. Like, I am not opposed to a super chat. You type in at the bottom next to the dollar signs, and it's a little something for the channel, and then you get your question answered. All right, let's get into it. First last week, first this week. Velocity. Hey, Zach, what automotive brands historically have been cheaper in Canada than other countries when factoring in global currency rates? Canada actually is one of the cheapest places in the world to buy cars because we benefit from two things. We're right next door to one of the biggest car markets in the world, the United States of America, who have always had some of the lowest car prices in the world. Then you factor in the currency difference between the United States and Canada, and the car companies, they do charge more in Canadian dollars, but it's not really to the currency. It's less. And there was a study that came out a little while ago. I got an email from somebody in Michigan who studies prices around the world, and I think it was the Toyota Corolla. The cheapest place to buy a Corolla was right here in Canada. So when you start looking at mainline cars, like if you look at a Corolla in Canada versus one in the US and you factor in the currency exchange, it's cheaper in Canada. Same for the Civic. And often for a lot of those mainline cars, because of the currency difference, the car companies can't push the price up too much. But when you factor in the price difference, it's actually cheaper. There was another study that came out a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about Range Rover, the full-size Range Rover. I think the most expensive place in the world for a Range Rover, off the top of my head, was Malaysia, I believe, because they have massive taxes. They were all Asian countries that have huge tariffs on these cars. The cheapest place in the world was the United States, and second cheapest was Canada, even cheaper than the domestic UK market. So we benefit from having the Americans right next door and a difference in the currency. We benefit from that. Hey, Ryan's here looking for a small sporty diesel, interesting, SUV for highway commutes, used. Any suggestions? No, I'm not sure, Ryan, if you're looking for premium or non-premium. If you're looking for non-premium, it's very limited. You're going to be looking at a used Chevy Equinox, or you're going to be looking for the Mazda CX-5 diesel. Now, the CX-5 diesel was only sold for about 2 minutes. I'm being facetious. I think one model year. That was last year. So a 2019 or 2020 CX-5 diesel. If you're doing a lot of highway driving, though, and you want to get the best mileage, look for a Chevy Equinox. And what's the sister to the Equinox? I always get it mixed up. Is it the Terrain? The Terrain, yeah. The GMC Terrain. Both of them sold with diesel engines for just a couple of years. I think 2, maybe 3 years. That actually is one of the most efficient vehicles sold. It was, when it came out, the most efficient SUV sold in the market until the new RAV4 hybrid came out. So for highway, you're right, diesel is good. Now, if you're thinking about going premium, one vehicle you might want to look for, if it's used, now you want to make sure you do your due diligence on this, is look for the old GLK, the Mercedes GLK. It had a 4-cylinder diesel, and that vehicle was sold for several years. You're going to be able to find those. So a GLK 250 Blue Tech diesel would be another one. And those would be great highway companions, okay? And the Equinox has very high quality ratings, so I have no problem recommending it. Doesn't have a lot of power, but it is great if you want to save fuel. What is the most analog sports car or hot hatch that can be bought new today? Miata, the MX-5 Miata. Absolutely fantastic. I would say maybe the BRZ or BRZ or the Toyota 86. I would say the Mustang GT is one hell of a great car. That would be a great choice. Stephen Wong, Tesla Model Y or ID4? I haven't driven the ID4, and what I suggest you do is there are so many electric outlets like Inside EVs and all of these outlets that specialize just in EVs. I would go and read some of the reviews from people like that. Inside EVs seems to do a good job because, you know, there's... Unfortunately, with electric cars, a lot of it comes down to it's like a spreadsheet. Which one has the better range? Which one has the faster charging? Which one has the, all of these different components? And it's something that you have to look into. Hey, Zach, looking for an all-wheel drive crossover with manual transmission. I'm interested in a Subaru Crosstrek, but don't see any other option other than Subaru products. What did I miss? Yeah, a lot of the vehicles that are sold with a manual transmission are front-wheel drive only. Like, for example, if you wanted to get the Qashqai or the Rogue Sport, as it's called in the U.S., that would be a front-wheel drive version. It is available with a manual, but it's only front-wheel drive. So all-wheel drive and manual transmission, you're kind of barking up the right tree there. It's going to be the Crosstrek or the Forester. One you might want to consider. Now, this is actually a great product, and if you can find one, jump on it, because when they're gone, they're gone. And I think that these are going to hold their value. Okay, that is the Volkswagen Sport Wagon. The Volkswagen Golf Wagon was available with all-wheel drive and a manual transmission, and it was available in the all-track trim as well. So if you can find, now they made them up to 2000, the end of 2019, but they made a lot of them and sold them into 2020. You might even, I'm not sure, you'd have to look. There might even be some new old stock sitting around. So look for a Volkswagen Sport Wagon, all-wheel drive and manual. Now, they're out there, and if I was you and I wanted a manual transmission all-wheel drive vehicle, I would jump on that because it's going to hold its value. It's like a spotted owl, a unicorn. Really rare vehicle. And in the used market, the rare and the quirkier, usually the better for resale value. That's a good one. That is cold, my friend. You picked a cold one, Jack.
Did I?
You did. Barrick is here. Wasn't first today, but he is here. Thanks for being back. What are your initial thoughts on the new 2020 Subaru Outback Wilderness design for off-roading? Yeah, so without much fanfare, Subaru dropped last week an Outback Wilderness. So what they're doing is they're adding even more ground clearance, bigger wheels, a better approach and departure angles for this. So that is good, because the Outback, I think this is you're going to see this through the rest of the trim. So they've had the outdoor versions, and I suspect nobody's officially made this announcement, but these wilderness trims are going to spread through other parts of the Subaru family, giving even more off-road capability, kind of the way Jeep has trail rated. That's what they're going to be doing. It is going to make it more capable. A lot of people aren't aware of this, but Subaru, of mainline car manufacturers, has the highest ground clearance, 220 millimeters for all of their utilities, whether it's the Crosstrek, the Outback, the Forester, the Ascent, all have 220 millimeters of ground clearance. When you compare it to like a RAV4 or a CRV, higher already. So they're going to offer more ground clearance, better approach and departure angles by changing, obviously, the ride height, but also the front and rear fascias is going to give you better. And approach and departure angle is when you go down a hill and see the way that that approach angle or departure angle is really sharp, and the same thing when you go up a hill, the back there. I lost a mirror. Crap, a mirror off my Cayenne. All right, so there you go. That's what they're doing. I think it's going to be great. I think people are going to gobble it up. People love Subaru. They have a huge cult following, and they're going to gobble this up. You watch. Hey, Zach, Stephen Gear, is it Gearhead? Gatehead, how are you? I am well. I'm glad you're here. Ask a question. Don't be shy. Do you think sway bars are worthwhile upgrade to enhance handling on an SUV? I got to pick this mirror up. It's bugging me. Look how tiny that mirror is. That is just a wee little mirror. I'll put that back later. Do you think sway bars? The number one thing you can do on any vehicle to improve handling, the easiest is by changing wheels and tires. Okay, tires are the number one thing to change the performance of any vehicle. Now, you could go the next step and change sway bars. I would typically think shock absorbers, like maybe an optional shock absorber might do it as well. I would speak to a specialty shop depending on which brand you're talking about. But tires are often the cheapest way to go to do that. Plus, you get tires that are going to last for several years. Hey, Zach, I know they're not in the same category, but what's the best value between the 2020 Highlander Platinum and the Lexus NX F Sport 3? Yeah, well, they're very different. One is a two-door, one is a four, one is a 5-passenger, one is an 8-passenger. Best value. Well, the NX, oh, you're looking at used. Sorry, let me read that again. You're looking at a 2020 Highlander or an 18 Lexus NX. They're so different. Like, do you need the third row? If you need the third row, it's a no-brainer. You're going to buy the bigger vehicle. If you don't need the third row, well, then don't pay for a vehicle that you're just carrying around all that extra sheet metal, which is harder on fuel. Then the NX might be the way to go. You have to really have a gut check here. What do you really need? Oh, look at this. Our first live chat is here. All right. Look at that. First of all, I say cheers to your super chat. Any experience with faux suede in the ND Miata, like the 30th anniversary model? Thinking of ordering the ND and added the option, which is relatively expensive. It's expensive. That's interesting that it's expensive, because usually car companies put these things in and it's not really any more expensive. It's just a styling exercise. I would say a couple of things about faux suede. Faux suede feels warmer in cold weather and cooler in warm weather. That is a plus. It does grip your backside a little bit more, depending on, if that's a sports car, like if you're getting an ND Miata or MX-5, that's actually going to be a really nice look on the inside and feel good. Now, one thing to keep in mind, that the faux suede isn't bulletproof, right? You still have to be careful of it. You still have to make sure you don't damage. A mechanic that I know has a Porsche Cayenne with the Alcantara seats on the inside, and his are all pilled up. Now, he doesn't it's interesting being a mechanic. He doesn't look after his vehicles very well. He just leaves them, and he's always got other cars to look at. So I would say if you are okay with spending the money, yeah, it's going to be a very nice, it feels really good. I like it. I especially like it when it's a contrast of like side leather and the insert is Alcantara. I think that's going to be a beautiful car. By the way, you need to send a picture of that when you get it, because we're all going to be waiting to see it. It's a fantastic car. That is one of the best cars ever made, in period. Bruce is back. Hey, Bruce, nice to have you here. You always have lots of discussion on resale value. Who cares? Anyone I know keeps their cars for 8 to 10 years. Who's flipping every 3 to 5 years? Lots of people. There are lots of people who get in and out of their cars every 3 to 5 years. And I don't care if you keep your car 8 to 10 years or 3 to 5. The number one expense of any vehicle is depreciation. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a 2007 Toyota Tacoma. Okay, I bought it 4 years ago, and I could sell it tomorrow for what I paid for it. Okay, so in 4 years, I have lost nothing on depreciation, and that car is 14 years old. So it doesn't matter what vehicle it is. I always not always my number one, because sometimes you just want what you want. But resale value for me is a huge part of owning a car. I have never bought a car, just said, I don't care about resale value. It has been very, very, very high on my list of things when I buy. Now, that might not be your concern, Bruce, and go and buy whatever you want. But if the number one expense of owning any car is depreciation. So if you can mitigate how much you lose, that's where you save money in the long run. I'll give you another perfect example. We bought a Cayenne, and we had it for 6 years. And when I sold that car, so that's a 6-year-old car. When I sold that car, the difference between what I paid for it and what I sold it for worked out to $333 a month. Okay, you're going to be paying $300 plus a month to get a Toyota Corolla. Okay, we had a Porsche Cayenne. So you just think about that. We bought a Cayenne and sold it, and it only cost us in depreciation $333 a month. I I encourage you to find another vehicle with depreciation like that. It's a huge part of buying a car, in my opinion. That's why I always go on about it. I want you, if you're buying, to consider it as well. What do you think of the 2021 Dodge Ram 1500 Classic Express? I'm not sure what the Express is. Is that a step side? Because I like the 1500. If you're basically driven by price, and that's an important factor for you, the Classic is great. Because, to be honest with you, I think that a lot of the research and development that went into the new one was really started in that previous generation of Ram. I like that a lot, actually. I think we have another super chat here. Oh, sorry, it was the same one. I forgive. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How many people are on board? 277 and only 44 thumbs up. Smash it. Smash it. I want people to smash it and get the number up. It really helps. Babs is here with a super chat. Thank you, Babs. Appreciate that. No question, just a subscriber sip. You subscribe, I sip. So people that are watching this live obviously are regular viewers, and I love it, and you're subscribers. But if you're finding this video after it's gone live and you've stumbled across it, welcome. And hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'll see you here every Monday at the same time, okay? All right. Mazda 3 won AJAX choice for Canadian Car of the Year again. Is it really that good? Your thoughts? I think, Marky Mark, this is an interesting thing. This is going to get a little political. I might piss off some of my automobile journalist friends. The Automobile Journalists Association of Canada award has gone to the Mazda more than any other brand that I can think of. And they win every year or every other year in one of the categories. And it's heavily skewed by the Quebec journalists. In the province of Quebec, Mazda's market share is very high. And Mazda Canada does a very good job of facilitating Quebec journalists with Mazda cars for test drives, for long-term drives, and they really nurture that relationship with the Quebec journalists. Now, I'm not saying that the Mazda 3 isn't a great car, and I'm not saying if I was still a member of AJAX that I wouldn't have voted for it, but I'm saying that they've done a very good job of cultivating that following, especially in the province of Quebec. So whenever you see a Mazda in the running for Car of the Year, it's probably going to win because of that. Now, because they added the turbo this year, and last year or 2 years ago, they added the all-wheel drive, it does make a very compelling car. It is a lot of car for the money. It is a premium intender without having the premium price point. The vehicle I disagree on is AJAX chose for their SUV the Genesis GV80 as their utility of the year, up against the Telluride. Telluride for me all day long. Telluride is one of the best model introductions I've seen in years. That thing is killing it. It is absolutely hands down the best in the category, and I think it's one of the best utilities on the road, period. And I like it more than the GV80. The GV80, it's got all the quilted seats and all that kind of stuff, but a Telluride, for what they charge for it, is a lot of car. All right. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on that SUV and the AJAX. All right. Where are we here? Sean is replying to Bruce saying, the fact is that most people keep their cars less than 5 years. Just look at the yearly sales for proof. Well, there you go. What's Mitsubishi's reliability like? Now that I've seen the 2020 Outlander, I'm very tempted. Well, the good news is that they give you a 10-year warranty at Mitsubishi. Smart, right? And that's a major draw into their brand. They have done a great job with their 10-year warranty of getting people into their showroom. Now, they would get people into their showroom, and their cars were good. Simple interiors. Now, when you see this Outlander drop on Wednesday, the video, you're going to be shocked by how nice it is. And I think they did a very good job. In fact, it's going to be a game changer for Mitsubishi. So the reliability, well, this is a new platform shared with Nissan Renault. The engine is carried over from the Rogue, but even then that's been modified with 80% new components. And the CVT is a joint collaboration. I've been told that it's a very updated CVT as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But, you know, having 10 years worth of coverage from a brand, it lets you sleep well at night. Dream to Ski, your thoughts on the Cayenne versus the X5? I think value-wise, the Cayenne may be a better choice long-term, even though the upfront costs may be greater. Yeah, I think back to my point when I was talking to Bruce about resale value, I think Cayenne would be a better vehicle for holding its value. So your point is taken. You pay more for it, and then you're going to get a lot of it back when you go to get rid of it. One thing I would say, though, is that the base engine of the X5 versus the base engine of the Cayenne is better in the BMW. The inline six-cylinder is just fantastic. There's nothing wrong with the 3-liter turbo in the Cayenne, but it's just not the same as the BMW engine. Now, if you're talking about a Cayenne S with the 2.9-liter twin turbo, that's a different story, because that engine is fantastic. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there, but there's no shame in the X5. That is a really well done vehicle. Do you think Subaru will ever make a Wrangler Bronco competitor? I have a 2024, and I love it. I'd like to see Subaru venturing or making a Wrangler Bronco style vehicle. I would love that. I don't know. I don't think so. Subaru is a pretty conservative company. They're a small company too. So in comparison to some brands like Ford, I don't think so. I think that they do things in baby steps. Like we've been asking for more power in the Crosstrek since it came out. They just finally put the 2.5-liter engine in there. They got rid of the turbo and the Forester. I mean, let's get that back in the Forester. And they seem to take a long time to change. So I just don't think that's in the cards. I'm not a betting man, but I'd make a pretty strong bet on that. Do you have any early opinions on the GV70? Love your reviews. Well, they're going to go at it as hard as they have with every other category, whether it's the G70, the GV80, or the G80. Genesis and the Korean brands, period, are going hard at the other makes, okay? So they are going to throw everything at it, and it's going to be interesting to watch. What I'm more interested to watch is the reaction from the established brands. Genesis is trying to do what Tesla did in the electric market, but Genesis is trying to do it against the mainline cars, right? Not mainline, but you know what I mean, like the established luxury players. And early successes already out of the gate in the first few months with the GV80. We'll see if that sustains. But I think for the GV70, that is the heart of the market, right? The heart of the market when it comes to premium SUVs. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. I mean, I haven't had a chance to get behind the wheel of it. I can't wait. Hopefully, they didn't screw up the infotainment system like they did on the GV80. And I'm really surprised that more people don't criticize Genesis for that infotainment system. I think the GV80 infotainment system is a hot mess. And I wouldn't buy it just on that. I think that needs to be cleaned up like yesterday. That's just my opinion. What would be your strategy on buying cars if you pay all cash? Given some brands like Toyota offer cars at higher rates, would it be better asking for rebate first from salesmen and then offer cash? Well, Eric, this is where you go to Car Cost Canada and you find out what the dealer actually paid for the car. Okay, so when you sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH, you become an expert member, and then you can look exactly at the car you're considering. Let's pick a car here. The outgoing Outlander. You go in there and you type in 2021 Outlander, and you're going to see when you pick the trim that you want exactly what the dealer paid for that, okay? Now you go in as a cash buyer and you say, I'll buy that cash, and then you negotiate off of what they paid for it, all right? That's what I would do. That's your best bet. My mom is looking at a third row SUV and likes the MDX. Are there any other competitors? She currently has a Nissan Murano. I would say the MDX, and I would say I would throw in the Telluride and the Palisade as non-premium alternatives, but almost the same level of interior finish and fit. The MDX I thought was very well done, but I would throw in a Telluride and Palisade into the mix. Is Hyundai and Mazda are part of Honda and Toyota and SUV segment? Which is the better value for Remy? Looking at buying one for my wife. I don't understand. I don't understand that question. I'm sorry. Oh, I see. You wrote below it, at par. Okay. Is Hyundai and Mazda at par with Honda and Toyota in the SUV segment? Which is better value for money? Brand. I'm looking at buying one for my wife. Now, I don't know which size you're looking at. If you're looking at like the RAV4 size, you're looking at like a Highlander size, I don't really know. So, yeah, I would say that these companies are all making excellent products, and I wouldn't be shy to say, yeah, go buy a Mazda. I wouldn't be shy to go buy a Hyundai. I think that they do make excellent products. In fact, I think the one brand that's falling behind is Honda. I think the CR-V is really looking dated, and so is the Pilot. I mean, they need to get on that, but they are coming. There is new product coming from both of those companies. Hey, Zach, why can't Land Rover make a decently reliable vehicle? Well, you know what? I read an article about the CEO of Land Rover Jaguar actually publicly stating and admitting that their quality issues are, he believes, costing them 100,000 sales worldwide. I would suspect it's higher than that. I mean, there were so many people that, oh, I love the way that looks. I think it's really cool, but I just couldn't handle the reliability. And you know, I told the story a few weeks ago. So we have friends of ours who have a 2021 Range Rover Sport. It's 6 months old. It has been in the shop for over a month. They've had 4 different loaners from the dealer, and the dealer's been working with them, Land Rovers and Range Rovers, and each one of them has had to go back for issues. I don't know. It's just one of those things that they are going to have to figure that out, and they're going to have to get on it, or they just erode all trust in the brand. What do you think of the Mercedes-Benz GLC SUV compared with the X3 and other competitors? Now this, my friend, is exactly why you need to watch the video review that drops tomorrow. Tomorrow we answer all your questions. Is Toyota planning on changing the forerunner? Isn't it the best, most reliable vehicle ever sold in Canada? Are they going to change it? From what I understand, they are going to it's in the works. It's going to be changed, and they're going to have a couple of different engine options. From what I'm hearing, same 4-liter V6, and then maybe a hybrid version with the Tacoma engine. We're going to have to wait and see. But it's coming out. Now, I wouldn't say it's the most reliable vehicle in Canada. It's one of the vehicles with the highest resale value, I'll tell you that. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. It is going to come, but it's going to be we're still waiting and waiting. Do you buy your personal vehicles new or used? The Tacoma I bought used. We bought a Honda Civic 6 months ago, used. That's only 3 years old. And the Cayenne we got new. The car before that was an Audi A7. That was new. The car before that was a Cayenne. We bought that. It was only 2 months old. It was basically new. I'd only had a few thousand kilometers on it. So yeah, buy new and used. ID4 has different size wheels front to back. Why? Well, they wear out quickly because they can't be rotated. Well, they cost more since I can't buy sets of 4 on sale. Any problems, advantages? Well, the reason why they're doing this is because the ID4 is actually a rear-wheel drive platform. It's not front-wheel drive. So they have gone with a larger electric motor at the back of the vehicle. So you're going to be able to buy an ID4 just rear-wheel drive with the option of adding a second motor at the front to make it all-wheel drive. And they've probably gone with what are called staggered wheels or wider wheels at the back to help get the power down and with handling as well. You know, this is one of those things. If it is that much of a worry for you, then choose something else. You can buy, I mean, buying tires, typically you don't get that much of a deal buying sets of 4. If you buy, you know, you can get tires at Costco. You know, if you go online, you can buy tires single or doubles or 4s. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Is it possible to find if there are any new unsold EGolf before talking to the dealer? I would go on something like Auto Trader and have a look. You're going to see inventory because they put new inventory on there as well. You got to remember that an EGolf, so you would put in like a 2020 EGolf, and then you'll see up and they will come up with like 0 miles on it, right? That's what I would do. Subscriber Sip, like the video and your thoughts on the GMC Hummer. Yeah, so General Motors introduced the official GMC Hummer. You might have seen last week. They sold the very first one at Barrett-Jackson, raised a lot of money for charity. It's immensely expensive. Has loads of new tech, and they're putting all kinds of future tech in there. I'm more interested in seeing what General Motors is going to do for their mainline cars. I mean, that is a over $100,000 EV with all of this torque and the 4-wheel steering and all that kind of stuff. That's great. I want to see what they can do in the $40,000 to $60,000 range, which is where most people buy. I want to be able to see what you can get as sort of like an alternative to a Chevy Equinox size vehicle, for example. That's what I really want to see. And they're going to have apparently up to 30 new vehicles in the next couple of years. So come on, GM, get on it. Hey Zach, what are your thoughts on the Kia EV6? So this is the Kia version of the Ioniq that we saw, the Ioniq 5 a couple of weeks ago. Basically, you see what goes on at Hyundai and Kia. They have shared technology, and then they run away and turn one into a Kia, and then they turn the other one into a Hyundai. So that's really what we're talking about here. I read an article, and the big thrust from the Korean brands is they want to have killer range, amazing charging ability to be able to take a charge into the battery very quickly, and also great design. And I think on all of those metrics, the new Hyundai Kia electric vehicles that are coming, whether it's the Ioniq 5 or the EV6, are going to be fantastic. There is chatter of 80% charge in 15 minutes. Like, that's game changer stuff, right? There you go. Is CX-3 going to have an update on their model? Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that one. But yeah, you're right. That's a vehicle that has been left sitting for a little bit too long. What's your view of Cadillac's new V-Series sedans? The CT5V looks great from your view, and an upcoming Blackwing looks awesome. Okay, so I'm not sure if you know this, Dean, but Andrea and I, she just popped up behind me, at the end of 2020, we chose the Cadillac CT5V as our top pick of all of the vehicles that we drove last year. I think it is a fantastic vehicle. Nice proportions, killer power, great interior, comfortable seats, simple and easy to use infotainment system. And then for 2021, they added the digital instrument cluster. There was one other thing they added as well for the CT5V. I can't remember what it is, but they added a few nice little trinkets for everybody. And that, my friend, is a beautiful car. And they put the starting price up a little bit, but they added more features. So the starting price roughly in the Canadian market's around $52,000 if you want to get all-wheel drive. And I would probably get all-wheel drive. So that is amazing. And then you throw in the Blackwing, which is just going to be killer power. Yeah, I like a lot of what Cadillac is doing. I mean, the new Escalade that we drove, mind-blowingly good. Like, really well done. Beautiful, easy to drive. It's just a ginormous truck. You wouldn't know it when you drive it. Absolutely fantastic. All the big screens, all the tech. One of the best sound systems I've ever heard. And yeah, I like a lot of what Cadillac is doing. But we stand behind it. what we did was we picked it as our top vehicle for last year, and then we asked Cadillac if we could get it back to actually film our top vehicle of the year. And we thought, is this just our memory? Is it actually as good as we remember? And then when we got it back, we were like, oh yeah, it's great. It has magnetic ride control. It has got electronic limited slip rear differential. It has killer power. It's got standard Brembo brakes. It has all of the go fast bits, and it is just a really nice car to drive every day. For the 718 GT4, would you pick a manual or a PDK? No, it really comes down to, Max, who's going to be driving the car. If it was me and I'm the only one driving it, it'd be manual. If you're sharing the car and your partner maybe doesn't drive stick that well or doesn't like to, it's going to be PDK. If you're going to the track, PDK is going to be the fastest way around the track, but it isn't going to be that fun. I had a chance to drive the GTS on the track, and the great thing is with the manual, it has the rev matching. So even though it's not as fast as a PDK around the track, at least when you have the rev matching and you're driving on a track you're not familiar with, you can focus on your line going through the corners, your braking and acceleration points, and then when you change gears, the rev matching is all done for you. Now, as you get more comfortable with a road course, you could then turn it off and do heel and toe yourself. But you know, it's a very personal thing. Me, if it was just me driving, it would be manual, no question. If Andrea is going to be driving it and we're going to be sharing it, then it would be PDK. What's the best budget sports car? I would say the MX-5 Miata at $33,000 with nicely equipped is one hell of a car. And then the Mustang GT, those two. Does the 2021 CX-3 or Mazda3 Sport have cylinder deactivation? Should I avoid it? I thought there was a recall on it. From what I believe, the Mazda3 does. Now, that's off the top of my head. Now, please go and check that out. Should you avoid it? I didn't really notice any issues with it. I thought it was fine. Thoughts on the 5.7 Hemi Ram Classic? As I talked about earlier, I think the Ram Classic offers a lot of value, and the 5.7 Hemi is a great engine. And what is it, 370 horsepower, something like that? It's a great engine. Hard on fuel. Any comments on the 2020 Outlander? So if you're coming in late, the video on the Outlander drops on Wednesday. Wow. Way to go, Mitsubishi. This thing is going to get a lot of eyeballs on a brand that hasn't had a lot of eyeballs on it. So Mitsubishi always had, you know, very pleasant vehicles. I actually always thought that their interiors kind of punched above their sort of basic pricing. This new vehicle offers a lot of value. Standard 7-passenger seating, standard all-wheel drive or all-wheel control as they call it, a new 2.5-liter engine, new platform, and it's very quiet on the inside. So I would say that it's going to be a big, big deal for Mitsubishi. Is the Volkswagen GTI Club Sport coming to North America? I don't know anything about that one. I was talking to Thomas Tetzlaff from Volkswagen Canada a week or so ago, and I didn't ask him that. Thoughts on an 18 four-cylinder Camry for someone who's a car person? Now, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I think the new generation of Camry hybrid is actually better than the four-cylinder because they turned up the sensitivity of the electric motor to get more boost and more torque out of the electric motor at more driving speeds. So it's actually a little bit more dynamic to drive, especially in stop-and-go situations. What kind of lets down that part of the story is the fact that it's all running through a continuously variable transmission. So getting a regular Camry with a conventional automatic, it's for an enthusiast. I mean, I just wouldn't put enthusiast and Camry in the same sentence. So try it out, see what you think. But also try the hybrid. Don't be shy. I have an Audi 18 B9 17. It was a lease, and I started to think about paying residual value and resale value and keeping it. It's an amazing ride. I'm only concerned about its maintenance and reliability. Well, the good news is, Sammy, is because the car is still under lease, and when you get to the end of that lease, you can ask the dealer to have it run through the shop and certified pre-owned. That's going to take you up to 6 years and 160 kilometers of warranty. So that's what I would do. Now, that's through the dealer. In addition to that, the dealer can also, in the business office, hook you up with an extended long-range warranty. So you can go longer than the 2 years at the end of your lease. You could go even longer, but you're going to pay for that. So what I would do is, if for peace of mind, is maybe get it certified, keep it for another 2 years. So now you've had the car for 6 years, and then you might get tired of it and want something new. But if you love it, you might want to take a chance and keep it. That's probably the best advice. Speedmaster or Super Ocean, both with a rubber strap. Oh, you're asking me. No, this is a Seamaster 300 on a Perlon strap. There we go. Where is it? Speedmaster or Super Ocean? I would say Speedmaster. I'm not a huge fan of the Super Ocean. That's the Breitling. I would say Omega, same thing again. Resale value. Speaking of depreciation, what's the newest for Toyota or Mazda you'd recommend buying? Come on, that's not enough. I need more than that. Car, SUV, price. That's like the most vague thing I've ever heard. Top 3 manufacturers with the best resale value are Porsche, Toyota, Lexus. Yeah, I mean, those are, I would say, as overall brands, Toyota wins the most residual value awards from Canadian Black Book every year. Porsche always does very well. And then Lexus is up there as well. Yeah, so I say Toyota, Lexus in there, and Porsche. You're probably absolutely right on the money. Babs, thanks, long-time subscriber. Well, thank you for the super chat, Babs. Honda CR-V versus RAV4, which one? I would go RAV4. I just like the fact that it has a conventional automatic and not a CVT. The CR-V is getting towards the very end of its lifespan, where the RAV4 has only been out for a few years. What are your thoughts on the 2021 Lexus RC 350 rear-wheel drive? I just don't think that the Lexus RC is a dynamic car. It's a Lexus. It is beautifully made. It's a very pretty car. It drives well. It's just not dynamic feeling. It feels like a Lexus. It's very smooth and refined, and it does all of that really well. But it's not going to be like the car I would, as an enthusiast, gravitate towards. It's going to be the car you're going to want because it looks cool, has great resale value, and is built by Lexus. So if those are your priorities, then go for it. Hey Zach, thanks for the stream. Is it bad idea to use paddle shifters aggressively on a higher mileage automatic IS250 or any higher mileage automatic? I don't think so, because all you're doing with your paddle shifter is sending an electronic signal to the transmission to change gears, which is exactly what the computer does. It sends a message to the transmission to change gears. So if you're considering being aggressive with your paddle shifters and changing the transmission more often than it would doing it in automatic mode, probably a good idea to get the transmission serviced, meaning change the fluid in it, make sure that the filters are clean, and clean out any little particles that might be at the bottom of the oil pan. So that's probably your best defense. All you're doing with the paddle shifters is sending a signal to the transmission to get it to change gears. That isn't going to, out of function, do anything really more than that. Changing gears often in the transmission itself might cause a little bit more wear. But once again, if you're going to really be aggressive with it and you're concerned about it, have the transmission serviced, especially getting the oil changed is probably the best thing, if you're concerned about it. For me, I would just drive it and change the gears as many times as you want. Any news when you might get the 22 Hyundai Tucson hybrid? I'm likely buying one, but sure, I'd like to see your review first. Well, it's funny you mentioned this, Shane, because I just sent an email to Hyundai today saying, where the hell is the Santa Fe? Where is the new Tucson? And where's the Tucson hybrid? So apparently they're all on order, and they're all somewhere on a train coming here. As soon as we get our hands on it, trust me, you will see it. But we're waiting on that. We're waiting on lots of different vehicles. All right, we have 350 plus people on board and 124 thumbs up. If we could get more thumbs up, that would be great for the old Zach, man. Does a certified pre-owned car have more warranty than a brand new car? Well, it depends on the brand. The quick answer is yes. We'll take a luxury brand like BMW, Audi, or Mercedes. Typically, you get a 4-year warranty, and then when the car is certified, they certify it for another 2 years. It's basically an extension of the original warranty for 2 more years. Okay, so you're going to get up to 160 kilometers of coverage, or 6 years, whatever comes first. So yes, CPO typically means that you're going to get more coverage by 2 years. Thank you for confirming that about Mazda and Quebec. I always suspected that. Yes, it's there's a real love affair between Mazda and Quebecers, that's for sure. Will you be doing a review of the updated Ridgeline? Front end looks much better. Probably not. I have to be quite honest with you. When we choose cars for the channel, we have to be quite strategic. There's 52 weeks in the year. There's so many cars that need to be covered, and the ones that we really want to focus on are the ones that are the best sellers, right? That are going to capture the most eyeballs. So as much as I love the Ridgeline, it's not a big seller, and there's not a lot of people looking at it. So if we have an extra spot and we can get our hands, like if we have a hole and we need to fill a car, yeah, I'll put you down as noted, okay? Is retorquing your lug nuts necessary? The shop says that. Then I busted out the torque wrench and discovered these nuts are absolutely cranked. There's no worry. Help. Well, here's what you have to ask the shop: is the torquing that they're doing on initially hand torqued? Okay. Now, if they hand torque the wheels, it should be done to whatever spec that the tires are recommended for. Now, a lot of shops will say, come back after, a few hundred kilometers and we'll tighten the lug nuts. They should do it by hand. They can put the bolts on with their air drill to a certain point, but then the final finishing torquing should be done by hand. So that's really what you have to ask the shop is, did they do it by hand? And, call them out on it. Take it back and say, have these been over torqued? You say you do it by hand. Well, let's see it. If you were to get 3 mainstream SUVs, what would they be? If I was to get a non-premium compact SUV, I'd probably go for a RAV4. If I was to get a mid-size SUV, I would get a Telluride. Now, what would I get in the small class? In the small class, off the top of my head, the CX-30 looks good. I like the Crosstrek with the bigger engine. I'm trying to think here now. I do actually like the Qashqai. I like the Qashqai a lot, just because I think it's well done. But in that smaller class of vehicle, might be the Mazda CX-30. I think if the FJ Cruiser and Honda Element came back, they would sell pretty good in today's market. Yeah, you're probably right, especially the FJ. Now, you never know. If they're coming out with a new forerunner, is there an opportunity for them to come back with a hybrid version of an FJ? That would be pretty cool. Marky Mark, why are you not an AJAX member anymore? I think they would want you to have you as a member. Well, it's a long story with AJAX. the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada is not what it used to be. Okay, they have had some people leave. They don't get the support they typically used to get with the manufacturers. They do get support, but not the way it used to be. So I was a member of the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada when I first started doing this way back in 1992. Yeah, that's how long ago. Almost 30 years ago is when I started reviewing cars. Can you believe that? I've been driving new cars every week for 30 years. So in 1992, I became a member of AJAX. And I was a member for 1 year. And then I didn't renew because at that time I was doing local media and I couldn't leave to take part in the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada's annual Test Fest because it always coincided with TV and radio ratings. If you're not aware, in the old days, you used to have what was called a fall ratings book. And right in the middle of the fall ratings book for radio and TV was when the Test Fest was. So my boss would never let me leave. So I stopped being a member of AJAX. And then years ago, this is probably 5 years ago, they said to me, Zach, we'd really like you to be a member of AJAX and support it. And then at that point I could travel because they don't do regular radio and TV anymore. And then I was a member for several years and I came to realize that it doesn't do anything for me. I'm already established. I have all the connections in the industry. I know all the players. I know where to get cars. I know who to talk to. So it doesn't do anything for me as a member. Plus, you know, I'm not in the center of the universe. I live in Vancouver. The center of the universe is Toronto. And so I think it helps people there more than it helps me. A 2010 Porsche Cayenne GTS with 180 kilometers for $18,000. Good or bad idea? That could be a good idea gone bad in a hurry. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad car. Now, that was the V8 equipped GTS from what it was the V8 equipped GTS. First of all, great. Now, those engines do have some issues, okay? Coolant pipes, there have been cylinders that have melted down. It's something that you have to go into with your eyes wide open, okay? So that is the last year, from what I remember, of the old body. So what you need to do is you have to, if you're really interested in this, first of all, get a Carfax on the vehicle to find out where it's been and who's owned it, and if the kilometers add up. And then you have to get it inspected by a Porsche specialist. Doesn't need to be a Porsche dealer, but find someone that knows these cars well and can do the research on it. Because the fastest way to turn an $18,000 Porsche into a $35,000 Porsche is to buy one that needs a lot of work. So I'm not saying it's a piece of crap and don't buy it. I'm saying you have to do your homework. Really go into it with your eyes open. Spend the few $100s for the inspection, and if it doesn't pan out, walk away. Just write that few $100s off. It's a pretty cool car, but it could be a very expensive car. Is the jump from the TLX from Accord worth the money? Is it just a rebadged Honda? How about the IS300 versus Camry? Well, the IS and the Camry, that's quite simple because they're not really on the same platform. So the IS is different. And yes, I would say that is a worthy upgrade. It's smaller though. The Camry's much bigger. Now the TLX, before this current model that just came out this past summer, I used to say on this live chat, if you are considering a TLX, drive right past the Acura dealer and go and get a fully loaded Accord. Now, with the new TLX, I think that the updates they made to the new TLX do make it a worthy vehicle over the Accord. I do think that now. A year ago, not the case. 10-year warranty didn't help Hyundai Kia owners who had their cars catching fire. The company just looked the other way. I don't think they had a 10-year warranty. I think it was a 5-year warranty on Hyundai and Kia. With the new Hyundai Santa Cruz, Subaru should bring back the Baja. If you're not aware of this, Hyundai unveiled last week a new, looks like a Tucson-based pickup truck. So it's going to be a crossover pickup truck. Think of it as the modern-day El Camino. Yeah, the Baja was really cool. I'm not sure if they're going to bring that back. John is saying, hey, Zach, looking forward to your review on the Santa Fe Calligraphy. I took one out for a test drive. Wow, what an interior. I forgot the Murano. Not interested anymore. Well, that Murano's old. And, you know, unless you got a screaming deal on one. Yeah, looking forward to getting it. Hello, Hyundai, we'd like to get the car here. Are you familiar with the Mercedes BlueTech engine, especially in the GL350 BlueTech? How's the reliability and the car maintenance? Well, anytime you're talking about now a 6-year-old vehicle, especially for an import brand like Mercedes, you really are looking at the maintenance. And so what I would suggest, I don't know any specifics on that engine. You have to go to a Mercedes-Benz forum. Just type in Mercedes-Benz. What car is it? A GL 350 forum, okay? And what you're going to find is all kinds of information from people that have owned those vehicles. From what I understand, the full-size GLs were not particularly reliable overall as a car. Now, the engine people that own them will tell you all about it. But yeah, have a look at a web forum to get in there for sure. Does Ontario have an EV incentive program? They do not. All you have is the federal $5,000 on cars under $45,000. They got rid of it. It was a very rich program, and then the Ford government came in and got rid of it. But even with the old EV incentive program, it didn't move the needle much. I'm trying to buy a 100,000-mile 2014 GS350. Is high mileage of Lexus to be wary of? It would be the one brand that I would be the least wary of. Now, same thing. You have to get it inspected by somebody that knows these cars. Anytime you've got a car with 100,000 miles on it, make sure before you buy it, it is inspected by somebody that knows these cars. Now, Lexus cars can go a long time if they're maintained properly. So you're looking at the previous owner's dedication to maintenance. Make sure you get it inspected by somebody that knows the car. But if of all of the brands, that would be the one I would be the least worried about. Okay, we're over an hour now, brothers and sisters. There you go. We're all done. Once again, if you want to get a picture through, we only had one picture today. And it came from Iraq, which is cool. It's our first picture ever from Iraq. Where did it go? Oh, I've lost it now. There, where is it? JPEG. There it is. No, that's not it. Where's it gone? It's going to kill me. That's not it. That's from last week. There's a JPEG. There it is. It's a Genesis G70 twin turbo, 3.3 liter. That's cool. Our first picture ever from Iraq. If you want to get one through, it's Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca. I see we have one super chat just came in, so I'll get that one on before I go. Pair character turning around, waving his hand, saying, "Hey you," while lowering his glasses. I'm guessing that's an emoji. I thank you for that. All right, everyone. We'll see you next Monday. Don't forget the comparison drops tomorrow. The Outlander drops on Wednesday. That Survivor Series Porsche I told you about drops on Friday. And then on Saturday is the Audi Q5. I'm exhausted thinking about all the editing I've got to do. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a good week. See you then.